name is Charles Kelley, and I'm a Latvian American. I would like to invite you to join me right now on a special walk through my Riga. We're going to see special places of historic and cultural importance. I'm going to share with you some personal memories and some interesting historical tidbits that many people don't know. And I'll show you some places that even most native Latvians haven't seen. Come, enjoy. This morning I'm going to show you my Riga. These are my favorite places, and I'm going to tell you stories about these places. But first, let me tell you something about Latvia, because so many people in the world don't know anything about this country that is often called the Amber Country. Latvia is a very old country. The people immigrated from northern India 4,000 years ago, during the days of Abraham. But in modern history, it was the 9th century and Latvia was first occupied by the Northmen, the Vikings. And then came the Crusaders in the 13th century. Then the Poles, then the Lithuanians, then the Swedes, then the Russians. And then there was freedom for 22 years. And then the Soviets for 1 year. And then the Nazis for 3.5 years. And then the Soviets again for 46 years until 1991. And Latvia's now been free for 29 years, the longest period of freedom in her history. Latvia's been a popular place because of her location. All of her neighbors have wanted Latvia right on the Baltic Sea. It's kind of a hub of the north. It's a gateway to the east. I want you to see in your mind's eye the whole map of Europe and put a box around it. The Arctic Circle, the Ural Mountains in Russia on one side, all the way in the Atlantic past Iceland, all the way down to the Mediterranean. Now, draw an X, and the center, you know where that is? It's Latvia, the heart of Europe. And so today I'm gonna take you on one of my walking tours. And so the place that I normally start is the Monument of Liberty. It was built in 1935 by the great Latvian sculptor, Kārlis Zāle. Now, what was here before 1935? You see, Latvia was part of the Russian Empire. And Russian Empire, their great monarch was Peter the Great, although the Latvians like to call him Peter the First, because nobody who kills 10 million people in his life is great. There was a statue of Peter I in the place where the Monument of Liberty is today. And that was torn down after Latvia became free in 1918. This is the Monument of Liberty. She has a nickname, Milda. And Milda is the statue on top of the tower. She's 3 meters tall. When it was sculpted in 1935, it commemorated Latvia's 17th anniversary of freedom. It was unveiled on November 18th, Independence Day. Such an important day, such an important event that Latvia itself was free. But I want to tell you that just a few years later, Latvia was once again occupied. And it was occupied by the Soviet Union. And then the monument became a place where Latvians could no longer visit. When I first came to Latvia in 1985, it was during the Soviet times. And there were no flowers at the base. There was one guard, but not Latvian, it was a Soviet guard. And there were cars and trams that were driving right on this street. And I was walking with one of my friends here in Latvia, and I wanted to stop. And he says, no, 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 you can't stop there. And he was clearly afraid to be seen lingering around the Monument of Liberty. I never forgot that. Now, interestingly enough, this street we're on is called Brīvības. That means freedom. Well, when the Soviets came in 1940, the name of this street was changed to Lenin. Well, the next year when the Nazis came, the street was changed to Hitler Street. And then in 44, when the Soviets came back, the street was changed to Lenin Street again. And so one of the most important things and first things the Latvians did when she became free in August of 1991 was to change the name of the street back to freedom. When Zale sculpted this monument, there actually were 9 sculptures or reliefs. One of them is a relief, and it shows soldiers at battle. This represents the Latvians who were fighting against all things Russian and German in 1905. It was called the Baltic Revolution. You may not know what a relief is. A relief is a sculpture that is not completely separated from the stone. It's carved into the stone, not out of the stone. At the front of the monument is a phrase, Tavzeme Brīvība. And this means to fatherland and to freedom. Part of the monument was sculpted actually in Sweden. And the red stones, they came from Finland. The white stones came from Italy. But there's something that's extremely interesting as we look way up to the top of the monument, and you can see the lady. When I first came to Latvia in '85 and I saw this monument, I noticed the 3 stars that Milda is holding in her hands. I thought they represented the 3 republics, Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania. But I was soon corrected. They actually represented the regions of Latvia which were recognized at that time. In the north, Vidzeme; in the east, Latgale; in the west, Kurzeme. Now, today there are 4 regions that are recognized. Zemgale is in the south, but I think there's something extremely interesting that's kind of hidden in the open. Do you know what negative space is? It's an artist's term. It's the space around objects. And let's look at the negative space between her arms and hands. What do you see? Some see an angel. Some see a cross. Some even see that this is the Lord Jesus. What do you see? I always wanted to know, why didn't Stalin destroy it? Because liberty was the exact opposite of anything that he stood for. So I asked a historian a few years ago this question, and this is the answer that she gave me. She said that Stalin had a minister of culture, a very educated and a refined woman, in the late 40s. And it was her responsibility to destroy many of the monuments that were in the other countries that the Soviet Union had occupied. And of course, many monuments were destroyed, but she especially valued the Monument of Liberty here in Riga. And so when the planes were ordered to bombard Milda, she ordered that they would bombard Hotel de Rome. And there was a famous restaurant there called Otto's. And so this was destroyed by the Soviet airplanes that were supposedly intended for Milda. And then when the photographs came back of the destroyed hotel, she said to Stalin that they were the ruins of Milda. Now, what courage is that? Is this really true? I can't be sure, but that's what the historian told me. And I find it very interesting because Milda still stands. And this is Freedom Street again. And Lenin is a distant history. My name is Charles Kelley, and this is my Riga. And I hope that you come and visit one day. I'll be happy to see you and take you on a personal walking tour.